Soon after arriving in Auckland, the Te Kanawa family converted to Catholicism. Kiri's mother's determination got her daughter into St Mary's Convent, where she came under the wing of New Zealand's best-known singing teacher.
Your first singing teacher was Sister Mary Leo. Can you describe her character and her teaching methods? She sounds
very much like my mother, actually. My mother and Sister Mary Leo didn't get on very well. She was a very domineering sort of lady, and I had to come when I was called. That's why I think my music, my formal education suffered, because I would be trying to sort of study and do all these sort of things, and more often than not I was pulled out from the middle of a class to have another singing lesson or rehearse for the choir. And while I was doing half these subjects, I never ever got a full lesson done. And if I did, it would be taken over by the music, because I'd have to go and do music, and you don't have to worry about all that, just do the music. What she did was make you sing songs that never hurt your voice. She was very careful. And so it was the repetition and the constant working. It was like constantly working muscles, sort of to strengthen. It was all very slowly. So if you were lifting weights, for instance, eventually you could keep lifting at the same sort of distance. You could lift a heavier weight as it went on. I think that was, she didn't basically know it, but my looking back on it now, she taught you to sing and sing and sing, but never stretched the voice, always to sing in the same area, and it just became more even.
Kiri left school at 16. Eventually, a small Maori trust fund allowed her to return to study full-time with Sister Mary Leo.
I couldn't think, did I want to do music full-time? I didn't know what it entailed. I didn't know anything about it. So for peace's sake, I said yes. And that was the best decision I think I made at that time. And I started on a Monday morning, finished on a Friday night, and I would study from 9 in the morning till 5. And I learnt piano and singing. And I was in the room next door to her, and she would listen to me through the room all day. And the moment I'd stop, even for a breath or a drink or anything, she'd knock on the wall and off we'd go again. So I was basically having singing lessons all week. Short singing lessons, but very important ones. Then I'd do choir practice. We'd do choir concerts. I would sing at the weekends. In order to get my pocket money, I would sing at weddings, funerals, receptions, anything to get money for spending money. And that's how it went on for about another 3 years.
Bed, I couldn't go to bed. My head's too light to try to set it down. Sleep, I couldn't sleep tonight, not for
Kerry's days were spent at the convent. At night and weekends, she sang popular songs in Auckland's dine and dance nightclubs.
I could have spread my wings and done 1,000 things.
You just couldn't go around by bus doing it. And you have to, of course, take your makeup and your dresses and stuff to change in.
I'll never know what made it so exciting.
My mum and dad bought me this little car, and I would zip all over the place. I suppose I did about sometimes 5 a night, or 5 in the day. So I was getting quite a lot of money to survive on. Because the schooling and the teaching was very expensive.
I could have danced all night.
If you had a party of 8, you could reckon there'd be 8 bottles of spirit on the table. So by the time you were going to put the floor show on, everybody was, by and large, well cut.
You know, I think when you're 16, you don't care. There's absolutely no... You're fearless, invincible. You can do anything you want.
This was her closing number, Ave Maria, and I'm sitting in the corner there and I'm thinking, my God, all these drunks in the place, how are they going to go? Here's a religious song in the middle of it. And the magic just took. There wasn't a dry eye in the house and you could have heard a pin drop.
I'll never know what made it so exciting. Why all at once my heart took flight. I only know when he began to dance with me. I could have danced.
It was a great time because I was sort of, you know, toast of the coast when I was doing all this.
What were you singing in the nightclub?
I was singing all the things I sing now, actually. It's crazy. But now it's all the things I loved doing. And then, of course, I left them all behind when I left New Zealand, singing things like Summertime, Somewhere, Maria Tonight, all those things, those super songs.
Her success in this country before she left it to go to England was extraordinary and unprecedented. She was identified as an opera singer since she was about 16, and yet she'd never sung an opera. By the time she left this country and arrived in London, totally unknown to the rest of the world, she had already made 2 movies, 50 recordings, countless television appearances, concert tours both with and without orchestras.
Was there ever any temptation or a thought in your mind that you would become a more popular singer, even a pop rock singer, rather than an opera singer at that time?
Well, I think
Or
that...
did singer mean something clearly defined in your mother and Sister Mary's?
It did, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely right. You had to go for the top.
Yeah.
There was no half measures. Broadway was just very ordinary. But I think a lot of people would accept Broadway, you know. But my parents and Sister Mary Leo were not about to accept second rate, so to speak. And, Broadway, I think, is quite wonderful. In fact, I envy all those pop singers, the sort of Tina Turners of today, getting out there looking just wonderful. I love all of that. And I find that the operatic world sometimes is very staid and very boring. And I would really love to get out and do all that sort of thing.
So you'd rather be Tina Turner, really?
I'd much rather be Tina Turner any time with the crazy hair and all of that. Oh, it's wonderful, that voice. It's just so liberated. Opera is not liberated enough for me. If one had the opportunity now and you suddenly said, OK, lose the 30 pounds you need to lose and get into the old mesh stockings and the leather, I could most probably do it because I would be so it would be wonderful to try it.
Well, I'm sure.
Wouldn't you like to do something like that? I mean, you must have a secret dream somewhere.
I don't know about the leather.
I mean, Van, you wear a suit and stuff. The leather, you like the leather?
I said I don't know about the leather.
Oh, I see. You should try it, Mel.
Kiri's last engagement on this trip was to sing Now Is the Hour at the closing ceremony of the 1990 Commonwealth Games.
How did you take your leave of New Zealand?
It was my family, the Te Kanawa family's wish that I should come and visit the marae as a blessing for my going over to England. And we came with a big formal welcome again and the wonderful speeches and greeting everyone, and met everybody from the family. And then my uncle took me down to the family cave, and I took a little piece of the limestone from our family cave. And he said, well, now, Kiri, he says, you really will do well over in England. I actually felt as though I had this sort of cocoon over me, that no one would really harm me, and that I was blessed by them all.
Our car drives past the Royal Box and keeps on going, and Her Majesty's car stops at the Royal Box. Then our car pulls up in front of the stage. I open your door, and hopefully the intro will be the same length of time as it takes us to walk from there, up there, and across
That's what
there.
I'm worried about.
It is going to be wonderful.
Well, hang on, just wait till I've done it, then I'll tell you if it was going to be wonderful.
Please welcome Dame Kiri Te Kanawa.
Now is the Hour is the traditional New Zealand song of farewell. When Kiri left for England in 1966, it was sung for her as the ship left Auckland.
It felt like the end of the world. It was silly, but it was such a young impression of the end of an era and the beginning of a new life, I suppose, for me.
Kiri arrived in London in 1966 and she still has her principal home nearby.
Go back, so they've got him.
As soon as she returned from New Zealand in the spring of 1990, she started work with her coach on learning a completely new role, the Countess, in Richard Strauss's Capriccio.
I love the music very, very much. And it was just, I suppose, an ambition to sing the final scene because it is so beautiful.
How does work on an entirely new opera, how does it begin?
Painfully. Starting note by note, word by word, like building a house. And just learning and learning, repetition, repetition.
In the final scene, the Countess has to choose between her two suitors, a poet and a composer.
Separate the words from the music, and you can't separate Olivier from Flamand, really. As you say later on, in winning one, you lose the other. So you lose, in a way, you lose each way, whether you choose or whether you don't. Let's top of the page. Again, the harmony will help you because and then we change key where the B flat in the accompaniment goes down.
While learning Capriccio, Kiri was also performing the role of Arabella at London's Royal Opera House.
On the day of performance, I will go up and work with my singing teacher for an hour. Come back, have lunch, sleep from 1:30 to 5:30, drive up and settle myself in for the performance. I think my confidence depends on my little regime of how I get it all together. Have I rested enough? Have I slept? Have I learnt the music correctly? If that all goes right through the day, then my confidence is fine.
Just at 1990. Oh, sorry. It's going to be hot in there tonight.
Oh, it's terrible.
The strict disciplines now necessary for Kiri's working life didn't come easily to someone from her background.
In New Zealand, I'd just done what Sister Leo had said. And I had really no great structure. I didn't know what it was to time keep. What a mess. And when I got to London Opera Centre, everyone was totally structured. And young kids would come in and walk in through the so-called green room in this very pompous way and say, well, I got the job. And you'd go, what? What job? Was there a job? You know, and you sort of, oh, and you think, horrible cow, what job was that? So I thought, well, I wonder how one walks in like this and say, I got the job.
So what impact did London have on you when you arrived with your mother?
You know, the workings of Covent Garden, the great singers coming in. And that was important for me because I wanted to know what was going on at Covent Garden a lot. And, of course, you know, all the pop groups, there was the Beatles, the Stones, there was still in black. There was television still in black and white with all the Beatles still on and, you know, the Top of the Pops and all that stuff. We hadn't seen anything like that in New Zealand. It just didn't happen.
There was a masterclass, as I believe you went to, at Covent Garden with Joan Sutherland and Richard Bonning, which had an impact on you.
We were asked if we would do this class, and I think only certain members of the company could do it. I'm actually not quite sure about that, but it seemed that just a few of us would sing.
From the Opera Centre?
From the Opera Centre, yes.
Yeah. I didn't do the preliminary classes. I went in at the end to hear them all present themselves for the final fling. But Richard had actually done the classes with the group.
Oh, this was a nice group too. I certainly remember Kiri very vividly. I mean, she had then a very, very beautiful voice. It was a standout voice. I mean, it was obviously a voice that was going places. She was singing in a lower register as a mezzo-soprano, and it seemed obviously to me that this was going to be a soprano. that she was going to have the great career that she had.
Arabella is one of the more testing roles for the soprano voice. Kiri had sung it 3 times at Covent Garden before this production conducted by Geoffrey Tate.
I love what Strauss does, and I love playing the part. I think I sing it with a lot more ease than I used to, because it was quite a big part for me to do. And now I can measure myself and the part, so I don't come out of it totally exhausted.
Doesn't dry you up, does it? Wear happy hat.
I hope not.
Can I have one of those?
For instance, I would start working on it maybe 2 weeks before I go into rehearsal. And whilst in rehearsal, I have no social life whatsoever, and the weekends are left totally for relaxation. Try not to sing too much at the rehearsals. Try only, if it's possible, to do a 3-hour session rather than a 6-hour session in the day. That would be much more advantageous, because you can get a lot more done in 3 hours than you can in 6 tired hours. I think it's possibly fatigue.
I'll give you, yes.
It's finally set in.
As long as you tell Uncle Geoffrey okay.
Yes, don't worry, Geoffrey.
Thank you.
I just haven't quite...
No, fair enough, I know.
Got it. I mean, there's so much Strauss going on in here. If you only could see from this side of my eyes, there's lots of other Strauss going on that is not yet in my canoodle.
It's coming.
Like Capriccio!
Oh!
Why did I ever do that?
Worry about this Arabella is that it will be too loud. That's all I'm worried about.
You don't need to tell me.
And I know. I just want you to really mark it down.
Okay.
Because it's not worth screaming your guts out.
Darling, we'll go. Be good. I'll keep an eye.
Please do.
Bye.
Keep that orchestra nice and low.
It's still a long jump for the girl from Gisborne who is given a bit of advice by somebody at Covent Garden in a masterclass, and then not very much time later you're on the stage in Covent Garden singing Countess Almaviva and Figaro, and there it is.
Well, there were a lot of stepping stones actually, but it seemed that people were just sort of pronouncing things to me, like Mother would say, "We're leaving," you know, and then Richard Bonner would say, "You are a soprano," and people say, "You will sing the Countess at the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden," and all these sort of things. But it seemed like that. It took quite a few auditions to get me into Covent Garden.
I hear hundreds of people in a year, singers, piano player, violinists, really hundreds. And maybe once or twice a year, I sit up. And that was Kiri audition.
And I kept on coming back and singing all these arias that they'd asked me to sing. And after the 9th one, finally I got it. So I'm not quite sure what all that was about. I mean, I think my reputation in the first year at the London Opera Centre was a bit of a problem.
Why
because a lot of the teachers and coaches from Covent Garden were coaching me, and they said I wasn't a very serious student.
We worked here at the Opera Centre when Kiri was studying here, and she was a great trial.
Yes.
She was a very boring girl, very lazy. Turned her out of my classes several times. She was always late, no interest.
True.
And
all true.
When I eventually did the Figaro at the Garden, Peter Hall should have done it, and then he didn't come to the Garden. They asked me to do it. One of the conditions was that I could start work with Kiri the next day, because I really didn't think she could do it. Actually, I didn't think she had the. I didn't think she had the strength of sort of the willpower. I didn't think she was that interested. I thought she was a little frivolous about her work.
I don't blame them, but also
what was it that they would have picked up on?
I think just not being particularly serious. I wasn't sort of really so blinkered in music. I believed that there was another life too. You know, as I kept on saying right at the beginning of my studies and everything, there was always this other side of me that wanted to go, whoa, you know, to break out of the mould all the time. And I never, while I believe I've put a lot of effort and work and study into my music, I feel as though I'm also a reasonably interesting person besides my music, and I don't talk about it all the time. I find I do sing the role better when I've repeated it on many occasions, hours and hours and hours of doing performances of it. It doesn't matter how many times you sing it in the studio, in rehearsal. It's the amount of times you use up the adrenaline with the nerves, with the music, with the throat. Somehow it becomes a very comfortable pair of shoes.
Come on, let me show you what to do. Look, do that and do a little bit of run like that. We don't have to glob it, you see? And it will just hold all the way down. This one here. And you sort of...
What I hate most of all on the very first night, a lot of people say to me, are you nervous? And, you know, if someone says the word nervous or anything, you know, in a very sort of tense situation, you immediately think nerves.
Yeah.
And once again, I like the peace and quiet of the dressing room, just being myself, and I do a few exercises.
A quarter of an hour, please, ladies and gentlemen. A quarter of an hour, thank you.
I think the time that I said, finally, yes, this is what it's all been for, was the night I sang at Covent Garden, which was the night I sang the Countess there. And suddenly, there was this incredible response.
I think she was incredibly apprehensive, as indeed any ordinary mortal would be. I mean, you've been in the London Opera Centre, then suddenly you have to do this zonking great part at Covent Garden, which is one of the trials and tests of a singer. You don't appear in the first act. You sit in the dressing room, working yourself up into a steam, because you have to begin the second act with one of the most famous and one of the most difficult arias that exists, and it lasts about 2 minutes.
No film record exists of Kiri's debut in The Marriage of Figaro, but she was filmed in performance 2 years later.
Came right on this night, and I looked at myself and I thought, gosh, I think you're going to make it this time, Kiri. You're really going to make it.
She's a marvelous Mozart voice. So the two composers, Mozart and Strauss, like her voice better than anything else. Why? I don't know. This is the way the voice is lying, this I mentioned to you, this floating legato quality, very much suiting that to composers.
Oh, I think she loves being on the stage. It's, I mean, she loves dressing up and sailing on in a great crinoline, and doesn't she? Queening it up there. I'm sure she does.
Strauss just happens to sit just here somewhere. He just sits in the right place. And while everyone else is getting the brass section playing under them all the time and the very loud areas, suddenly I get my part comes through, and it's absolutely like I'm sitting on a goss on a cloud. And it's just the most beautiful thing, it's the most beautiful feeling that I suddenly find that he just parted the waves and just let me sing.
This February we staged a special concert in the Royal Naval College Chapel, Greenwich, with the Royal Opera House Orchestra as a showcase for Kiri's performance of Mozart and Handel.
Now, you're not to be afraid to applaud any time you want. Now, it's one of those evenings you're not quite sure what's going on, but this is going out for millions to see, so we want you to enjoy yourself. We've all come a long way today. It's been a bit of a trek. So we want to have you have a great time.
Kiri's best-known Handel performance was in 1981 when she sang at the royal wedding in St Paul's Cathedral. increased public recognition led to a huge demand for her performances all over the world. The pressure of trying to meet these expectations finally led to a complete breakdown of her health and professional confidence.
The whole thing was all too much too soon, and really it really wasn't too much too soon, but I got into a situation that I was becoming very well known, being wanted all over the world, and not believing that I was the only one in the world. I didn't believe that. It was just thinking, how can I do all of this? How can I please all this? How am I going to get through all the jobs? How am I going to do them well enough?
Fear would mount in that situation, and of course, the more fearful you got, the more difficult it would be to get better. It would be a race, wouldn't it, really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'd go on and I wouldn't sing well. And it was just because I didn't believe I could.
Everybody wants you to sing this and that, forgetting that to sing this and that takes 3 months hard work to learn the thing. And so you feel the world closing in on you, and you haven't a hope in hell of keeping up with it.
I got to a stage where I couldn't sleep at all without sleeping tablets, and I was travelling too much. I was sort of always wanted to be home. My family life I was pulled between the two.
Was there ever a point where you didn't go on the stage, couldn't go on the stage at all?
I sang through it. I kept on going. I said, if I stop now, I'll never go back on stage again. I'll just never get on there. I knew I couldn't, because I could hardly face it even then. I could hardly... Just getting out the dress to iron it was painful. And it's taken about 5 years now to really get my confidence back. I needed a lot of support. Des basically didn't leave me for a year. You know, he would always be doing his other work and be home, but he never, every performance I went on, he was there right at beside the stage.
The pressure on today's top opera stars means that burnouts are not unusual. In Kiri's case, career pressures and severe health problems were added to those of being a working mother. However, the family life that she now keeps separate from her work provided the stability she needed to return to the top of her profession.
She wouldn't have this wonderful talent of a diamond of a voice. I think she would like to sit down in New Zealand somewhere, never move out for a second anyway. Have great many children around her and stay home. That's what she would like. Therefore, that little family which she has was a great support for her, and is very important, I think.
It's the long look today, not the chopped up look. Tommy, you'll slice your finger off.
I'm very torn between my never wanting to leave home and having to leave home. And when I am away, I do nothing but try and rush to get home again. But I mustn't think that way. I must give my 100% to the opera and not tell anybody my innermost thoughts.
In the summer of 1990, Kiri gave a series of recitals in England and America. One at Beeston Church in Norfolk was to benefit a small musical charity whose patron is Prince Charles.
Recital, you're basically in control of everything because the pianist is at one with you and you're at one with them. All you've got to do is get to the hall, sort out the lighting, do your practice, sing your songs, get it all right, and the audience likes it. So, and also I sing the songs, especially in concert, forget opera for the moment, especially in concert, that always sit in the right area of my voice. I try to avoid certain parts of my voice. And as wonderful Dame Eva Turner said, you know, there are only so many top notes in the bank balance, and don't give them all away on the same day.